Hello everybody, this is James Farris and this is my community analysis on Virginia Beach, Virginia. For an overview of the area, Virginia Beach is currently an independent city in the southeastern corner of Virginia, bordered by the cities of Chesapeake and Norfolk, the state of North Carolina, the Atlantic Ocean, and the Chesapeake Bay. It currently has a population of almost 500,000 people. Originally, it began as Princess Anne County and was divided from it in the 17th century. It is now home to several corporate headquarters, an Air Force station, and many tourist attractions. So for the community structure, I focused on their road system. Virginia Beach is serviced by Interstate 264 running east-west about halfway through the city. Most major roads run perpendicular to I-264. I-264 is an 8-lane interstate with shoulders which open during rush hours. However, per the windshield survey, roads appear adequate to handle traffic flow except during rush hours where congestion is rampant. Traffic congestion is actually associated with increased pollution due to inefficiency of fuel use, and it's also associated with significant monetary costs and even premature mortality. Therefore, Virginia Beach needs expansion on current roadways or another method which would decrease traffic congestion. For the population, economic well-being is something that Virginia Beach is doing very well. The unemployment rate is 3%, which is lower than the national average of 4%, and only 6.7% of Virginia Beach citizens receive food stamps, approximately half the national average. This means Virginia Beach is doing fairly well. However, for another population issue, it's not doing so well. For diversity, 67.8% of Virginia Beach is white non-Hispanic. This is higher than the national average of 60.7%. It appears that Virginia Beach has a greater than average need for diversity. Diversity actually allows people to view things from new perspectives and increases critical thinking skills. For another population issue, I focused on cancer. Cancer is a huge concern for Virginia Beach. It's the leading cause of death. There are 164.2 deaths per 100,000 due to cancer in Virginia Beach. This is approximately the national average, although slightly higher. Virginia Beach needs to devote a lot of resources towards community programs surrounding cancer, much like is being done nationally. For environmental issues, I focused on water management. The City of Virginia Beach puts out a yearly analysis of their water quality, and each year it meets or exceeds the US EPA standards. However, citizens are expressing concern about the more common flooding issue that plagues the area, especially after heavy rains. Flooding is associated with disruption in medical care, leakage of sewage, and exacerbation of mental health problems. Being a coastal area, Virginia Beach is also prone to hurricanes, increasing its exposures to flood-causing phenomena. Serious attention needs to be paid in Virginia Beach as to how it's managing its flood prevention strategies. For health-related resources, we have access, and per the windshield survey, Virginia Beach has a lot of acute care hospitals available, and there are also multiple urgent care and primary care offices available. It seems like access isn't necessarily the issue, and acceptability seems to be fairly good as well. It's about average. However, affordability is where Virginia Beach really lacks, like many American communities. For example, a pregnancy test in the emergency room costs about $230, but this is alongside the national norm of high healthcare costs. So, for 3 goals that I picked for Virginia Beach to focus on for health, I picked, from Healthy People 2020, I picked to reduce the overall cancer death rate, and this is because Virginia Beach has a higher than national average cancer death rate. I also chose to increase the proportion of persons who participate in behaviors that reduce their exposure to harmful UV radiation and to avoid sunburn, because Virginia Beach has an extensive coastline without natural shade, predisposing people to sunburn. A final Healthy People 2020 goal that I chose was to increase the proportion of adults residing with children attending school who have an emergency plan and have household discussions of that emergency plan. This is because Virginia Beach is prone to both hurricanes and flooding. A proper evacuation strategy should be a priority. For government, Virginia Beach has a mayor and 11 elected city council members. The mayor acts as the city's president, while the rest of the city council members act as the legislative body for the city. They each serve 4-year terms with rotating election cycles. Per a survey put out by the city, over 94% of Virginia Beach citizens feel that Virginia Beach is a good place to live, and over 92% of Virginia Beach citizens feel that they can easily access city services. So from this, I gather that it appears that overall satisfaction with the day-to-day operation of the city is actually fairly high. This is a really good strength for Virginia Beach. Now coming to community needs. I've picked 6 of the community needs, the rationale and the reason for their being the priority which they are. So the number 1 priority I would say that Virginia Beach has is emergency preparedness. The rationale I picked for this is because it's prone to flooding and hurricanes. And the reason I put it as number 1 is because hurricanes are common and potentially catastrophic. A whole city could be ruined by one of these events. The second priority I chose was healthcare costs. The rationale being is that healthcare costs are very high right now. And without affordability, less people will seek care in time, and we're going to see more and more complicated cases. The third priority I chose was cancer prevention. The rationale was a high cancer death rate. And the reason I put it as number 3 was because it was the number 1 cause of death. However, if we don't take care of emergency preparedness and healthcare costs first, we're not really going to change cancer prevention. The fourth priority I chose was road expansion. The rationale was because of traffic congestion being common. And the reason for it being number 4 was that traffic is associated with an increased risk of death. However, this risk is not as great as cancer, which is why I put it a little bit lower than that. For the 5th priority, I put an increase in diversity. The rationale being is that there's a lack of diversity right now. And the reason it's a lower priority is because it's a psychosocial issue as opposed to an emergency. For the 6th priority, I chose economic well-being. For the rationale, its income is above average, but it could be better. And the reason for it being the lower priority is because without resources, less people will seek care in time, even though currently the income is fairly good. For a list of my references, you can find them in the comment description of this video. Thank you.